Sure, I swear eternal love to you. You don't have to say it so loudly. Hearing her husband's loud proclamation, my sister looked a bit embarrassed, but blissfully happy. Not me, curious about why my sister, who said she'd get married without telling the family, I secretly peeked into the wedding venue. What the heck? Honestly, I couldn't hide my surprise at the sight of my husband and sister exchanging vows of love. Never would I have imagined my husband being romantically involved with my sister. Finally, I understood why my sister didn't tell the family about the wedding. Knowing she's married to me, their affair and decision to marry must be something they couldn't even mention to their own parents. I watched the ceremony progress happily from my hiding spot, trying not to get caught. But gradually, intense hatred for my husband and sister began to boil inside me. How much more will they mock me? And just as they swore eternal love and were about to kiss, I couldn't hide anymore. I burst out onto the aisle and shouted, "You two seem so happy, don't you?" Prize! I'm the wife who was only loved for 5 years by that man. The guests were in an uproar upon hearing me. Unbelievable. Impossible. Various shocked murmurs filled the air. Wait, why are you here? Hey, did you say we'd have the ceremony here? No way. Why would I say that? Did you? The two of them panicked upon seeing me. If they're this flustered by this, they shouldn't have had an affair in the first place. Well, they're about to experience hell now. Be prepared. Completely resolved, I went on to grandly take my revenge on my husband and sister at the venue. My name is Emily. I'm 30 years old. After graduating from a vocational school, I joined a company in the design industry. That's where I met my husband, David. Oh, that's a nice design. Really? Thank you. My first conversation with my husband was when he complimented my work while I was busy at my desk. I've always loved thinking about designs, but no one around me had ever praised my work before. I really like it. I'd love to work with you on this. Thank you. If that happens, I'll do my best. A week later, thanks to my husband speaking to the boss, I was transferred to his team to work together. This one's a bit off. Could you just change the colors here? Keep the base the same, though. David was very serious and diligent at work. He took good care of the entire team, including me, praising the good and specifically pointing out what was wrong with the bad. I gradually fell for his sincerity. As we spent more time together, both at work and privately, David eventually asked me out, and we started dating. Will you marry me? 2 years later, when I was 25, David proposed, and we decided to get married. I was so thrilled, I excitedly told my family when I got home, "Mom, I'm getting married." Really? That's wonderful. Your late father must be so happy in heaven. My mom was truly happy about my marriage. As we held hands and shared our joy, my sister, with a somewhat disgruntled expression, threw a barbed comment at me. Really? At your age, getting so excited? You could have married earlier. My sister, with a look of exasperation, complained to me. She and I are 5 years apart. Age doesn't matter. I would have loved to get married earlier, too. You could at least be happy with me today. Yeah. Congratulations. My sister said this and then lazily left the living room. It's not like we're on bad terms. She's just always had a bit too much to say. I might be on the quieter side, while my sister can make friends with anyone, high in communication skills and always speaking her mind. So, she was probably just being honest with me, not mean. Oh well, I'm sure she's happy for you deep down. After all, her big sister is getting married. Hey, I guess we'll go with that. After my sister left, my mom consoled me, and I forced myself to accept it. A week later, my husband David came to our house for a formal marriage introduction, but my sister's behavior was a bit off. Big sis, congratulations on your marriage. He seems like a really great guy. Oh, do you think so? Absolutely. Make sure you two get along well, and remember to come visit home with your husband sometimes. At that moment, I felt happy, thinking my sister had finally accepted and celebrated my marriage. But I had no idea that this marriage introduction would lead to such a situation. 5 years into my marriage with David. Hey, dinner. Okay. Our daily conversations had become brief, just a word or two. I knew the reason. I had been diagnosed as unable to conceive. 3 years into our marriage, both David and I started wanting a child, but it just wasn't happening. Maybe thinking that, we decided to visit a doctor together. The results showed nothing was wrong with David, the issue was with me. The moment the doctor told us, I felt a wave of emotions wash over me. The moment the doctor said, "You won't be able to get pregnant," my world went dark. David, who always talked about wanting kids before we got married, barely spoke to me after that day. It's not like I chose to be this way. I thought about divorce many times because of how he treated me, but I could never bring myself to say it. "I'll be off then," David would say before leaving for work, even on weekends. Somewhere in my heart I would think, maybe there's still a chance, but that faint hope of mine shattered one day. "Huh? Aren't you off today?" I asked. "Where are you going?" "What does it matter?" David left the house early in the morning on his day off, which was unusual. After seeing him off at the door, I just stood there, being a wife, yet not knowing where he was going and just waiting for him to return. I was deeply disappointed by his behavior that day. I couldn't bring myself to do anything and just sat on the living room sofa blankly watching uninteresting shows on TV. Huh? When did I fall asleep? I thought to myself, at some point I must have fallen asleep, and when I woke up, it was already dark outside. "I guess I should at least make dinner," I said to myself as I stood up from the sofa. As I walked towards the kitchen, I heard the sound of the front door unlocking. "Hey, Emily!" And ho! I heard my husband's voice and went to the entrance to see him with a flushed face holding a gift. "Welcome home," I said with a smile. "What's up today? You seem in a good mood," I asked. "Just had a drink with the guys from work. Look, I got this for you. They were selling it near the station. You still like sweets, right?" He handed me the gift as he spoke. He remembered I liked sweets, I thought to myself. I thought he wasn't interested in me anymore. Touched by his kindness after so long, I found myself tearing up. Seeing this, he laughed cheerfully. "Why are you laughing? Was it that much of a surprise?" I asked. "I just, come on, surprises are good once in a while, right?" He replied with a smile. "I'm gonna take a shower," he said as he walked towards the bathroom. He still cares about me, I thought to myself, feeling a sense of relief. The gloom I felt waiting for him vanished at that moment. I could hear his happy humming from the bathroom, and it brought a smile to my face. Typical of him, I thought as I walked towards the washroom next to the bathroom. As expected, I found his clothes scattered all over the washroom. "Come on, at least put your clothes in the laundry after undressing," I said with a chuckle as I picked up his clothes and put them in the laundry basket. Sorry. It's just a habit." Even this natural conversation through the bathroom door was incredibly delightful to me. "You're really hopeless. Please put them in the laundry for me." All right. Saying so, I went to put his clothes in the laundry machine. Considering he was drunk and might have left something important in his pockets, I checked the pockets of his suit. "What's this?" In his pocket was a handkerchief. "Can you get me a glass of water when I'm out of the shower?" I couldn't immediately respond to his call and froze on the spot. This handkerchief, it's my sister's. No matter how many times I told myself it was a mistake, I recognized my sister's handkerchief I'd seen many times. Why would my sister's handkerchief be in his pocket? "Hey, Emily, are you there?" "Oh, sorry, what was it?" I came to my senses only after he called me again. At the same time, I put my sister's handkerchief back into his suit pocket. "He just asked for water. Are you drunk or something?" "Ah, water, right? Got it." From that moment on, I could only view my husband with suspicion. Could he be having an affair with my sister? The thought made me uneasy and restless. However, from that day on, he became much kinder, like a completely different person. He talked and treated me kindly the next day too. Maybe I was just overthinking it. Handkerchiefs can coincidentally have the same pattern. I decided to not think about the handkerchief anymore. A month later, I was called to our parents' house by my sister. She said she had something to discuss with me and our mother. "Sis, long time no see. How have you been? Getting along well with David?" "Well, we're managing." "But what's this serious talk about? Relax. Just sit down." Arriving at my parents' house, I was ushered into the living room and made to sit on the sofa. My mother was already seated there. Neither my mother nor I had any idea what my sister was about to talk about. Maybe it's bad news, Glancing at my mother, I saw she looked anxious, probably feeling the same as me. My sister stood up and began to speak slowly. Seeing her serious expression, I braced myself, thinking, this must be bad news. Actually, I'm getting married. What? Marriage? You have a boyfriend? I just didn't tell everyone. I've had one for a while now. Thankfully, it wasn't bad news after all. Initially shocked, my mother's face gradually shifted to relief. I, too, was happy about my sister's marriage, but I had no idea she had a partner. So, are you having a wedding ceremony? Of course, but I'm not inviting Mom or you. What? What did she just say? We're family and we're not invited to her wedding? I'm not the only one confused by my sister's statement. Of course, my mother is also quite perplexed. Is it an overseas wedding or something? That's fine, you know? I don't mind if it's abroad. It's not abroad. Anyway, I'm not inviting you to the wedding. That's all there is to it. Now I'm off to hang out? Wait a minute. My mother tried to stop her in a hurry but was too late. It's her right to marry, but not inviting her own mother to the wedding is absurd. I can't believe it. Me neither. I've never heard of not inviting family to a wedding. My mother seemed upset and quickly went to her bedroom. This was definitely unusual. I decided to go home and tell my husband about my sister. So, that's what happened. What do you think? It's unbelievable, isn't it? I guess, but maybe it's fine to let her do what she wants. Well, maybe that's true. I thought my husband would share my view, but apparently he thought differently. Maybe such things happen. Maybe my mother and I are just overthinking it. I went to bed with that thought. The next morning, though I wasn't invited to the wedding, I still wanted to know the date. So I called my sister to ask. She might not even tell me the date, since she said we weren't invited. Feeling a bit anxious, I called her, and surprisingly, she easily told me just the date. The wedding? Oh, it's on the first Sunday of next month. Got it? And where is it? Don't be pushy. I'm not telling. If I tell you, you'll come, right? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's not too far from our parents' house. She said that, laughing, and hung up. Not abroad the first Sunday of next month, and not too far from our parents' house. I could think of only one venue often used by my local friends. Maybe that's where she's having it. Then came the day she said she was having her wedding. Where's David? Maybe he went out. That day, a holiday, my husband left early in the morning. Well, it's okay. Today, it might be better that he's not around. It's a long shot, but based on my hunch, I'll go to the venue I suspect, and if my sister is having her wedding there I'll secretly take photos of her in her wedding dress to show Mom. That's what I had in mind. David would probably have stopped me if I had told him. After getting ready, I got in my car and headed to the venue. Driving for about 30 minutes, I parked near the venue, feeling unexpectedly nervous. It's okay. It can't be. I was excited to possibly see my sister's big day, but I couldn't stop thinking about the handkerchief David had. And whether my sister was really getting married there. Calm down. Take a deep breath. Then I cautiously opened the door to the chapel. It seemed they were just making their vows to the minister. Yes, I swear eternal love, they said. You don't have to say it so loudly, I thought to myself, recognizing their voices. What? How is this possible? I couldn't hide my shock at the sight of my husband and sister exchanging vows of love. I never imagined those two could be in such a relationship. I finally understood why my sister didn't tell the family about the wedding. Knowing she's married to me, they probably couldn't even mention to their own parents that they were marrying out of an affair. And, of course, they couldn't let me find out. I sat in the guest seats as if I were just a friend of my sister, silently watching the ceremony progress happily, but intense hatred for my husband and sister started to well up inside me. How much more will they mock me? I thought to myself. Then, as they finished swearing their eternal love and were about to kiss, I couldn't hide anymore. I stood up in the aisle and shouted with all my might, "You two seem so happy." Unbelievable. Possible. Such reactions were only natural. No one would have thought that a person making vows had a legal wife. Wait, why are you here? I asked, my voice shaking with anger. Hey, did you say we'd have the ceremony here? I continued, my eyes narrowing at them. No way. Why would I say that? my sister replied, her voice trembling. Did you? She trailed off, her eyes widening in realization. The two of them panicked upon seeing me. So, that handkerchief meant this, I thought to myself, completely resolved. I vowed to bring my husband and sister down to hell right there. Wait, it's not what it seems, my husband pleaded, his voice desperate. This is a misunderstanding. He continued, trying to explain. How could he even say such a thing in this situation? I thought to myself, my anger boiling over. Do they think the guests will believe such excuses? I scoffed. A misunderstanding, huh? Really? I turned to my sister, ignoring my husband's statement. But she just looked down, refusing to speak. Irritated by her attitude, I demanded, "What about it, sister?" I walked down the aisle and stood in front of my sister and husband. I never thought I'd walk on this red carpet again in my life. And for such an absurd reason, I felt a bit pathetic, but that was short-lived. Seeing my sister's face up close, anger surged within me. You think you can just stay silent and it will be over? I grabbed my sister's chin and forced her to look at me. I must have been quite angry. She looked like she was about to cry. It hurts. Emily, let go. Why would I? Explain this to me. I'm sorry. This is getting nowhere. I realized pressing her further wouldn't yield anything. So, I took the microphone in front of the priest. Emily, what are you doing? Just stay quiet for a minute. Then I pushed past the priest and began addressing the attendees. Thank you all for joining us on this auspicious day to celebrate these two. Allow me to introduce them once more. The groom here is indeed my husband, and the bride is my very own sister. By this point, the attendees were too unsettled to remain quiet. Some even started shouting at my sister. Sister, I'm sorry, I really am. Please forgive me. My sister's makeup was completely ruined from crying. While she tearfully begged me to stop, I had no intention of letting it end so easily. It's a great honor to be here on such a momentous day. Normally, a witness from the attendees would sign the marriage certificate, but may I do the honors? As I proposed this to the attendees, the room erupted. I didn't know anyone there, either my husband's friends or my sister's. I'd never even spoken to them, but that day there was a strange sense of unity, and everyone seemed to be on my side. I received thunderous applause and, with a bow, said to my husband and sister, "Please go ahead and sign first. I'll sign as a witness after." Can't we just stop this? This is too much. This is too much? That's my line, isn't it? Shall I raise my voice and tell everyone how you treated me like an object the moment you knew I couldn't conceive? I whispered this threat to my husband. There was no escape. I was in front of him and the attendees were behind. Whether he moved forward or back, it was hell. All right, I'll sign. Just let it go for today. Okay, and you? What will you do? I'll sign too. Just let me go home. Then the two of them finally signed and hurriedly left the venue. If they were going to run away, they shouldn't have done this in the first place. After they left, I held up the signed marriage certificate to the attendees and loudly said, "Ladies and gentlemen, today a new couple has been born. I'm sure they can overcome any difficulty together. Let's give them a round of applause for their new beginning." The applause I received was even louder than before. Well done. Stay strong, big sis. I received encouraging words, treated almost like the main character of the day. The applause continued until I left the chapel. Outside, my husband was standing, looking exhausted rather than angry. "Congratulations on your wedding day. Make sure to fill out the divorce papers properly. Okay?" I said sarcastically and was about to leave when he stopped me. "Wait, if you don't have anything to say, I'm leaving. I'm truly sorry. Can you let me explain myself in my own words?" "Fine, go ahead. I'll be leaving first then." And so, I left the venue before the two of them. I kept thinking, if only I had confronted my husband when I found that handkerchief, maybe none of this would have happened. I thought about this all the way home and didn't forget to cup the divorce papers. 3 hours after I got home, my husband returned with my sister. "Ah, welcome back," I said nonchalantly to the two entering the living room, not even bothering to look at them while I ate ice cream on the sofa. I had no interest in them anymore. All I wanted was to focus on my ice cream. "Sister, I'm really sorry." It's all my fault. They both apologized as soon as they entered the living room. As if I would forgive them just because of that. I looked at them coldly, as if they were garbage, and said, "You don't need to apologize." "But David, there's a divorce form on the table near the kitchen. Could you fill it out first?" "The divorce form, but—" "Sister, please reconsider. It's all my fault." The moment I heard my sister's words, I threw the ice cream I was holding right at her. "My fault? Of course it is. Not just you. That jerk over there is equally to blame. You knew he was my husband and still had an affair. Unbelievable." My sister, shocked by the ice cream attack, collapsed on the spot. Seeing this, my husband hurried to her side. "That's how it is when you knew I couldn't conceive. You treated me like an object, but you care so much for my sister. Huh. I never want to see your faces again. If you really want forgiveness, pay me the alimony." "I'll pay how much?" "For you, sister, since we're blood related, let's say $20,000. Isn't that generous?" "What about me?" "For you, it's $100,000. If you can't pay, I could always reveal everything to your company. Remember, I used to work there too. I knew, from living with him, that my husband didn't have that kind of money. But I had to do this to ease my anger for ruining my life. $100,000 is a small price. I can't pay it all at once, but I will pay. I promise." "Good. Just remember, even if you pay, the divorce is still happening." I made him sign the divorce papers. I had already signed them right after returning from the venue. All that's left is to submit them to the office to dissolve our marriage. Okay, I'm leaving now. You two newlyweds enjoy your time together. Honestly, it's better not to marry for at least a year after a divorce, but they probably wouldn't understand that with their heads in the clouds. Just as I was about to leave the house for good, I suddenly became curious about why they ended up together. By the way, who initiated this relationship? My sister raised her hand silently in response to my question. "Why? I fell in love at first sight during the marriage introduction. You used to bring David home sometimes, remember? I secretly exchanged contact information with him behind your back, and things just escalated from there. I knew it was wrong, but I couldn't resist when your sister came on to me. After hearing their story, I dropped my bags at the entrance and approached them. Then I slapped them both across the face as hard as I could. Ah, that's refreshing. I never thought I'd be so relieved to cut ties with such jerks. But that's enough. You two enjoy your lives together now. Bye." Leaving them stunned, I walked out the door. Before heading back to my parents' house, I submitted the divorce papers, and they were accepted. Who would have thought my sister would end up with my husband? Life is full of surprises. After leaving the office, I headed to my parents' house, contemplating this unexpected turn in my life. Once I got there, I told my mother everything that had happened. So, that's what was going on. No wonder she didn't say anything. Hearing the truth, my mother looked somewhat saddened. It must be tough learning that her daughters were involved in such a love-hate drama. As a result, my sister was kicked out of the house by our mother. She had brought it upon herself, so she couldn't complain. On the day my sister left the house, she left without saying a word. Of course, I have no intention of going back to them. I have no intention of forgiving her. I didn't speak or even make eye contact with her. 6 months later, the alimony from my ex-husband and sister was being deposited into my account every month. It seems they are at least trying to atone for their actions. As for me, I managed to return to my previous job as a contract employee. I quickly adjusted to the work and now handle many projects, thanks to knowing many people there. Then one day after work, a colleague and I decided to go out for dinner. This colleague, who has been working there since before I left, and I have always gotten along well. Hey, haven't seen David around recently, have you? Did you know? He got depressed. Really? Now that you mention it, I haven't seen him lately. He's depressed? I heard through the grapevine. Ever since the divorce with Emily, he's been like a soulless shell. Strange for someone so competent at work. When the boss asked him what was wrong, he suddenly said he was quitting. Then he sent in his resignation and a depression diagnosis to the company. Oh, I see. What's he doing now? I heard a rumor that he's living with his new girlfriend. But apparently she's also depressed. They're probably consoling each other now. That girlfriend must be my sister. I was the one who was likely to get depressed. Well, in the end, they've ruined themselves, and I can't help but think it serves them right. From now on, I plan to live freely on my own. No more having anything taken away from me